What's going on, everybody? Happy Thirsty Thursday. Chris Meaney here. Another edition of Mean Streets on our FTN YouTube page, listening on iTunes and Spotify. Greatly appreciate your guys' support. Smash the like button, subscribe to our YouTube page. We'll be back tomorrow with some live action at FTN Fantasy. So subscribe and you'll get notified right away when we do go live. So last week was pretty good. Pretty happy with how everything went in terms of the picks. 12 for 13 on the betting show. The betting show already available to be watched if you want. Here on our YouTube page and over at ftnfantasy.com. So let's dive into tonight, an NFC South matchup between the Falcons and the Bucs. We have Atlanta at home. Slight favorites. I've seen 2.5, 1.5. I've seen a little bit of line movement. Use the prop shop and the parlay calculator, two tools that are free. You can see the link inside the description of this video, giving you the best possible number. The total I'd see at 43.5. I have a lean to Tampa. That's the way that I'm going to go in my own spread pool. I'd say a slight lean to the over. The Bucs have just showed me more. Offensively, they showed me more. Baker's been playing good this season. Todd Bowles can dial it up. And I think, Atlanta's offensive line, there's certainly some questions about the Falcons' offensive line. So I think Bowles will be able to dial up some pressure and get after Kirk Cousins. And let's be honest, apart from the last drive in week 2 against the Eagles where they came back, this offense has just looked okay. There were some decent moments against the Chiefs, but they really struggled in the red zone. They had so many plays in the red zone, and they won last week against the Saints, and I didn't think that they deserved to win. I thought there was a couple, fluky plays and some turnovers. They happened, but ultimately, I still think this offense is struggling, and Tampa isn't. So I like I said, I believe Bulls will be able to get after them. So I do have the lean to Tampa. That's kind of where I'm at right now. For props, Bucky Irving over 9.5 rushing attempts, -103 over at Bet Rivers. He's been cutting into Rachaad White's workload since week 2. He led the team in rushing yards in week 1, in week 2, week 3, and he was tied with Rachaad White last week as well. There was some talk from Bulls going to give him a little bit more run. He only had 10 rushing attempts, and so did Rachaad White. But the way to attack the Eagles is through the air. We saw it last year, and we saw it last week with Baker Mayfield and company. It was like a carbon copy of game plan was the exact same that they had when they faced the Eagles in the playoff game, and they torched them. Baker torched them through the air, hit up Cade Otton, Mike Evans 8, Godwin 8, blitz Jalen Hurts. It was the exact same. I said the exact same game. So I think we would have seen maybe a little bit more run from Bucky Irving, but they just threw the football in that football game. But one thing I did notice is, again, Bucky trending up, stealing touches on first and second down opportunities from Rachaad White. White still being a player through the air, and he will be. He's good in pass protection. But also Bucky stealing some third down situations and goal line work. Like that was pretty surprising to me. And I feel like this is something like Rachaad White has been the least efficient running back in the NFL since he entered the league. He really has. In sub 4 yards per carry in each of his seasons, he hasn't been efficient. So, this is a new regime and Leon Cohen. They don't owe anything to Rachaad White. And if he continues to, run into walls and not hit those holes, Bucky is going to continue to get more run. Short week, right? May use both of these guys. But Bucky Irving stealing goal line touches already in week 4 is kind of telling on how they feel about Bucky Irving. So I'm taking the over 9.5 rushing attempts to see the best number over at Bet Rivers and FanDuel. I see some 10.5s out there as well. More Bucky Irving love in just a second. The other guy that's been awesome all year long, Liam Coleman said that he was going to put Chris Godwin back in the slot where he's had most of his success over the course of his career. And we're seeing it so far this season. He has 8 targets in every game. He has 6 catches in every game. The catches 8, 7, 6, and 6. He's got a touchdown in 3 of the 4 games. Last year, had the exact same amount of red zone targets as Mike Evans, but Evans had all those touchdowns. So we're seeing it, the regression go the other way, right? He just was unlucky in the red zone. This season, not so much. He's scoring a touchdown. The volume is there. He does have 53 receiving yards in every game. This number here is 65.5. There's a slight edge in our projections. We have him for almost 70, but has a game with 83, a game with 117, and then last week has the 69. I knew it was a get right spot for Mike Evans. We called that here on Friday. So Chris Godwin over 5.5 catches minus 150, a little bit juiced. You could do a same game parlay where you go 5+ catches and 50+ receptions and get a plus number there if you wanted to. I'm betting these individually. I like the Godwin receiving yards a touch more than the catches, but I think he's going to have 6+ catches again, and I think he's going to flirt with 70 receiving yards. So those are the two Bucks players that I am on. Actually, there is one more, but I'll save it. I'm going in order of how I like these. Next up would be Bijan Robinson over 3.5 catches at minus 120 over at FanDuel. He should be good to go. We saw a little bit of Tyler Algier last week. This doesn't seem like it's just an Arthur Smith thing. We're seeing a little bit more of Algier and around the goal line as well. But Bijan Robinson, he's definitely the better back. Algier's a good running back. He had 1,000 yards as a rookie. But for Bijan, he's a really good pass catching back. He's got 4+ catches in 3 of his 4 games, 15 total catches on 16 targets. So he's caught basically everything that's been thrown his way. Tampa has allowed the second most catches and the second most receiving yards to running backs. So far this season, 26 grabs and 243 receiving yards. By the way, the Bills are number 1. I mean, a little bit of Justice Hill last week, and of course they pushed the pace, and you've seen some teams, have to throw on them and some check down stuff against the Buffalo Bills. But regardless, Tampa's really Tampa's really struggled against running backs out of the backfield catching passes. And this could come 2-minute drill. We know he's going to be involved in 2-minute drill, trailing in the game, if that is a thing as well. We've just seen Kirk Cousins check it down to him. And he was certainly a player through the air last year as a rookie running back. So the receiving yards is around 22. I decided to go with the catches, and a significant number here at minus 120. For example, this is why the prop shop, I say this all the time. You guys probably are annoyed with me saying this, but it just saves so much time and so much cash. Let it be your friend. It's a free tool. You see prop shop up the top at FTN Fantasy. So I look at Bijan Robinson, 2.5 catches. FanDuel, boom, minus 120. Bet Rivers, minus 122 for the over. Bet MGM, minus 125. 365, minus 125. DraftKings, minus 150. Caesars, minus 152. So every book may not be available to you, but if they are, like, why wouldn't we take the minus 120 at FanDuel as opposed to the minus 150 at DK or minus 152 at Caesars? So a pretty big edge there over at FanDuel, over 3.5 catches for Bijan Robinson. Next up here is Darnell Mooney. I understand it's a tough matchup against Dean, but Dean, out of all the 3 corners, he has allowed the most yards per route run covered. Darnell Mooney can do this on 1 or 2 grabs, right? He leads the team in average depth of target. We've been talking about Mooney since the offseason. I think we've hit this every single week. At least we've made the bet. We didn't hit it week 1. But again, that Falcons offense was the worst that we've seen against the Steelers. They had Kirk Cousins, a lot of pistol. It was a lot of pistol instead of what he's used to being under center. So it was a weird game plan. I know Kirk Cousins talked about that. That was the game plan from April. They were running a lot of that. But anyways, for Darnell Mooney here, the yardage over the last 3 games, 80, 88, 66, and 56, 21 targets over those 3 games as well. I mentioned the ADOT at 12.4 leads the team. He has a 34% air yard share which is a healthy number. Of course, Drake London is number 1 at 36%. But other than that, like, the short yardage stuff to Zacchaeus, the short yardage stuff to Ray McLeod, Kyle Pitts is really nowhere to be found. So if, I would say that Todd Bowles getting pressure is concerning, but if there is a couple scenarios where they can protect, run the football successfully with the 2 backs, they could take a play action shot. Cousins is going to take a couple shots down the field with Mooney. I've seen it every single game. And there were certainly a couple that he overthrew in the Saints game towards the end of that football game to Darnell Mooney. So those are the deep shots. They tend to go his way. And I think that London has the tougher matchup here tonight. So Cade Otton is the final one. Cade Otton over 28.5 receiving yards. I'm a sucker for Cade Otton. I like him. It's inconsistent. It's the tight end position, but I think he's a decent route runner, and I think he's a hard guy to tackle. He's not like a Pat Freiermuth catch and fall type tight end. He's decent after the catch. That's what I see, anyways, from my own eyes when I watch the Bucs play. 17 targets over the last 2 weeks. for Cade Otton. 13 catches for 99 yards. We're looking for just over 28.5 receiving yards here. Jalen McMillan, rookie wide receiver, is ruled out. Trey Palmer is ruled out of this game as well. I was considering Sterling Shepard over 19.5 receiving yards. He had 3 catches on 5 targets for 51 yards last week. I think his long reception is 12.5. I think his touchdown prop is plus 550. I wouldn't go that way, but some long shots. Don't be surprised if Shepard gets a couple more targets this week. But Cade Otton, certainly involved in the offense over the past couple of weeks. And we've seen the Falcons so far this season inside the top 10 in fantasy points to the tight end position. So could be a decent play for you tonight if you were hurting at the tight end position. For example, I do have him ranked ahead of both Baltimore tight ends, and I do have him ranked ahead of Kyle Pitts. So I understand Pitts has this aura about him. I was certainly in on him. The 1,000-yard season as a rookie. Is not involved. How can you? What more can you say? Raheem Mostert says, or Raheem Morris says, stats are for losers. I'm a loser. I like numbers. I like stats. I'm a pretty big fan of the Stat Hub over at FTNFantasy.com. But if he's not getting any targets, he's not getting any catches. And you got a guy like Cade Otton who has 17 targets and 13 catches for 99 yards over the last 2 weeks. I'm going to roll with Cade Otton. But again, it is the tight end game, and he could fall into a trap that way as well. Here are my touchdowns. I know Bijan's a little bit chalky, but same thing I said last week or on Monday, rather, with David Montgomery. I just felt like he was going to score a touchdown. He was minus 125. I feel like Bijan Robinson will score a touchdown as well. Bucky Irving here at plus 180. Again, the odds minus 125 is not good, but if you're doing some sort of same game parlay stuff, but for Bucky at plus 180, again, right, the snap count or the snap percentage for Rachaad White was 58% last week. That was the lowest mark since his rookie campaign when he was splitting time with Leonard Fournette. And not only did Bucky take some early down work from him, a little bit in the third down work as well, he got some goal line work. And I think that's very telling on how they feel about him. And he converted on a couple of those red zone rushing attempts. He scored a touchdown there. So plus 180. Just following this trend with Godwin, I think we've given this every week. Honestly, we have. So we've been 3 for 4 betting Chris Godwin touchdowns. He's not going to score a touchdown every week, but books haven't adjusted to the number. And to all the targets that he's getting. And in the slot where he's had just, again, the success over the course of his career, plus 170 for me for the touchdown. Darnell Mooney is my long shot. It's not a significant long shot. I was looking at Cade Otton. I mentioned Sterling Shepard to you as well. But for Darnell Mooney, plus 240, right? I like I said, the air yards, the A dot, the deep shot throw that we're seeing, the throws, the targets from him as well. So that would be the Falcon that I would go to after Bijan Robinson, and I'm in on Bucky and Godwin. So I'd like to come in here and give you guys like a 9-1 that hits. We did do well on Monday. This is what we had on Monday. David Montgomery minus 120. DK Metcalf stopped at the 1. Had Jamison Williams at plus 220, plus 244. And by the way, I'm going to take that every week on JMO. You could see it, right? You take the 40 receiving yards every week blindly. He's a big catch guy. He can do it on 1 or 2 catches, and you could see it, right? Last week and scoring. He's been scoring touchdowns so far this season. I had Huntley as well at plus 330. So hopefully we can continue the success. I'm not going to sit here and pat ourselves in the back every week. We'll hold ourselves accountable. If I lay an egg here today, I do apologize, and we'll bounce back hopefully strong on Friday. Check out FTNFantasy.com for all of the picks, the write-ups. Again, October is the best sports month here. We have NHL around the corner. The season starts on Friday in North America on Tuesday. NBA around the corner. Postseason baseball, college football, college basketball around the corner as well. In the betting package, you'll get all of the picks from everybody, tools, projections, as well as the Discord channel. I got a promo code for you, FTN Show. Don't tell anyone. 15% off over at FTNFantasy.com. Appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out. Let the winners be yours. Hit me up if you have any questions at Chris Meaney, Mean Streets, FTN@gmail.com. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.